Hello everyone, welcome to our first video in SQL learning series using MySQL. In today's session, be, we will start right from the basics. What is database? Then we will go to DBMS, then RDBMS, then data warehouse, and how SQL differ from NoSQL. Okay. By the end, you will be crystal clear on how real-world systems like Amazon, YouTube, and banks use these technologies. So let's begin. A database is nothing but an organized collection of data that can be easily accessed, managed, and updated. Think of it like a digital filing cabinet. Okay, for example, say you run an online book. The database will store all the books, authors, prices, and customer information, all neatly arranged in a tables. Okay. Without database, every time we start our computer app, our data would be just vanished. Okay. So let's, I will show you how the data will be stored in the table. So, so we'll be creating four columns. So first column will be book ID. Okay. Then book ID, then title, then author, and the price of that book. Okay. So in this way, we will be storing the record. So let's consider the book ID is 1, then title is SQL simplified, then job author is say Ram, and price of the book is 500 rupees. So in this way, we can store the record in this database. So we go to the so we can create a lot of tables like this. Here we have created the books table, then we can create the author, then customer, etc. etc. So why do we need databases? Okay. So if when we use database, we won't lose the data because we are storing the data into the database, and whenever we start the app, the data will get fetched from the database. Okay. So it's very easy to store large data and complex information, and it is it enables quick search and update. So we can quickly search the data into the database, and at the same time we can update the data present in the database. So what is DBMS? So DBMS is nothing but database management system. Okay. So now that we have learned the database, so DBMS is nothing but database management system. It is a software that helps us to create, store, and manage the database. So DBMS is nothing but a software or a program which will help us to create the database, then store the data inside the database, and we can manage. Okay, manage in the sense we can update the data, we can retrieve the data, It acts as a bridge in between the user and the data. For example, we have MySQL Workbench, Microsoft Access, or SQLite. All of these are database management system tools. So instead of manually editing files, we can use these SQL commands through these DBMS to store retrieve data safely and efficiently. So now we will create one database. So for this, we have to create the database. We have the command create. So create database. You can give any name to the database. Here we are giving bookstore because we are going to store the data related to bookstore. Okay. So you can run this, and in this way we have successfully created the database. Okay, using or in the MySQL database. So to use this database, I'm going to use the use command. Okay, I've done this. Now whatever the commands or the query we are going to execute, it will be executed within this bookstore database. Okay. So now I am going to create the table, create inside this bookstore. Okay. Create table. I am giving name as books. So I will be storing ID of that book. It will be integer. Okay. Data type. We will see what are the data types and how can we use. Okay. Then title. Will be a varchar data type. Then price. Price will be decimal. So now I will be executing this, and in this way we have created the table with three fields or three columns. First is ID of that book, then title and the price. Okay. Then I will insert the records or data or store the data in this table. So for this we have insert, okay, into name of the table is books, values, one, the book ID is one, okay, SQL, SQL simplified, the title of book and the price is 500. Okay. So in this way we can insert the record into the table. Now I will fetch the record with the help of select clause. Select star from books. And you can see in the result we have successfully retrieved the data which has been stored into our books table with ID 1, title SQL simplified, just some spelling mistake is there, then price, okay, 500. So in this way we can create the database with the help of create database book, create database command, then use it, then we can create the table, and then we can insert the record in it, and then we can fetch the record from this table. Okay, so we'll go to the next. What is RDBMS? Okay, so RDBMS is nothing but Relational Database Management System. It is a type of database management system that can store data in tables with relationships. Okay, we will establish in here we will establish some relationship between the tables. Okay, so for instance, let's consider in our bookstore database we can have multiple tables. Let's consider we have two tables, one for books and one for author. Then we need to connect these two tables. Okay, so when we want the two tables connect using common key like author ID. So there can be a common ID like author ID column present, common column present in both the tables. Okay, book has the column author ID, book can have author ID, and author table can itself have author ID. So with this key, we can connect the two tables. Okay, so this we call this as foreign key. We will see later, but this the connecting key between connecting key for the two tables is nothing but foreign key. We will see in the upcoming videos. Okay, so we'll go to the next. So we can create the table author, but it is not needed here. It's very easy. Let's create it. Okay, so that I create. I'll show you here the author table. Okay, so we'll be storing author ID, name. Okay, author ID and the name. So in this table, we will only store two columns. Okay. So author ID and the name. Author ID and the name. Okay. So author ID is 1 and the name is SQL simplified. The book name. Okay. So in this way we can create the another table. So what is data warehouse? After seeing our DBMS, database, DBMS, RDBMS, now we will see what is data warehouse. Okay. So now let's scale up. Okay. A data warehouse is a large store system designed for analytics and reporting. This is not for day-to-day transactions. Okay, so we we store historical data in the data warehouse, large historical data. Imagine Amazon. Okay, so every single purchase goes into database. So whenever we purchase something from the Amazon, it goes into the database, Amazon database. Okay, but when management want to know, let's consider someday management wants to know which category sold the most in the last quarter. Okay, so for that they use the data warehouse. So they use the data from the data warehouse because we stored the historical data into the data warehouse. Okay, so OLTP is nothing but online transaction processing. Okay, and OLAP is nothing but online analytical processing. Okay. So we have a lot of data warehouses like Amazon Redshift is there, Google BigQuery. You might be aware of these. Then Snowflake is there. Okay, these are a lot of data warehouses present. So databases versus data warehouse. So we will compare these two. So purpose of the database is to store the day-to-day operations. Okay, but for data warehouse, we store the historical data for analytics and reporting purpose. Okay, so in database we store current, okay, and detailed data. In data warehouses we store for historical and summarized data we store in data warehouses. Then in database we perform read and write many times. Okay, but when it comes to data warehouse, mostly we use read-only operations because it is historical data and we are using it for analytics and reporting purpose. So we are just mostly we use read-only operations. Okay. So example of database is MySQL, PostgreSQL, and the examples of data warehouse are Redshift, BigQuery, etc. Okay. Summary is nothing but database is used for applications and data warehouse is used by analyst. The application stores data in databases. Day-to-day data generated in within the application, we store it in the database. So one more thing is SQL versus NoSQL key differences. Okay. So we have a lot of confusion when it comes to SQL versus NoSQL. Okay. So SQL databases are structured. They use tables, rows, and columns. They are great for systems where relationships matter, like banking or employee management. Okay, but NoSQL databases are unstructured and or we can say semi-structured, perfect for flexible data like images, comments, or sensor data. Those kinds of data will be stored in NoSQL. We can store in NoSQL. Okay. So example of the SQL databases are MySQL and Postgres, Oracle. Okay. But when it comes to NoSQL, we have examples such as MongoDB, Cassandra, Redis, Firebase. So SQL is nothing but well organized library where we have shelves, okay, catalog numbers. But NoSQL is like a big open storage room where we can dump different kinds of content. We can dump in the sense store different kinds of content such as images, chat messages, JSON document, etc. So summary, database is nothing but collection of data. DBMS is a tool to manage that data. Software or tool or program to manage that data. RDBMS is nothing but database management system with relationship. Okay. And data warehouse is nothing but data warehouse is used when we want to store the historical data. Okay. Mostly used for analytics purpose. So SQL is structured data and NoSQL is flexible or unstructured data. Thank you. Do like, share and subscribe to the channel. We'll meet in next video.